Hello, my name is Bishop Craig Coates, and I am the creator of the exhibit entitled Freedom Way, which is a blueprint of African American liberation resistance from 1619 to present. So here's the starting point. This is where we start. We start with slavery. That is our beginning point. We show the inhumanities of slavery and just how brutal it really was, chattel slavery. We talk about the resistance and the rebound, people who were brought over, the last surviving ship that came over into the United States. I deal with the documentation of that some of it is just as current as 2 years ago. And then of course I talk about slave towns that were founded by former slaves and how they resisted and built their own communities. Even though there was much opposition and legislation, still yet these communities exist. So we talk about just the resilience of African people. And this is one of my favorite pieces because I decided to put an African man into what would look like a scenario of a trap during the time of trapping Africans in Africa. And so just the horrible thought of being captured in your own country, still there in your country, not yet transported, but unable to escape. It was a brutal experience, and so I wanted to show this, and I intentionally put a naked man in here because we were stripped. We were stripped not only of our dignity and our royalty, but even the very garments we wore. This segment highlights just some of what happened in Texas, which is a very important part of our liberation process, and how pirates were even a part of the enslavement process. Though people glorify them today, pirates of the Caribbean, we really tell the truth about the story, then we will see it was absolutely nothing to be glorified. We talk about Dr. King, we talk about the Emancipation Proclamation and the Civil War, which is really an important piece because with the Civil War piece, I bring to light that African men were for the first time identified as real people fighting for the Union. And that was really critical. You can see in some of the pictures that, our men in uniform look like people who got respect and feel like they are really a person. And that Union Army did give black men an identity other than 3/5 of a person. So we focus on that. We focus on the aftermath of the Civil War, how African men went from being auctioned to being protectors of empty houses that people were auctioned to make sure it never happens again. So, there is a lot of strength and resilience in African people that needs to be highlighted, that we weren't just in capture, but we were always trying to get our freedom. Which takes us to the whole path about Texas and emancipation. Emancipation in the United States was not officially welcomed or accepted until the last state got rid of slavery, which was Texas. I think it's really important that we talk about legislation and we talk about enforcement and the role of African men in enforcing the legislation. General Granger Gordon came in to initiate the legislation, but African American men, Union soldiers, came in to reinforce. And that was really important to understand that our freedom was never given. We had to demand it and we had to fight for it. Freedom Way is about education. It's about correcting a narrative that has been his story, not history. And so it is told from the perspective of those who have endured these hardships. It's told from our perspective. No one can tell our story like we can. Freedom Way enforces and it supports the critical race theory. Something that needs to be in our schools has been long overdue. It took me getting to college to learn the truth about history, about Black history, about American history. And so this opportunity here through Freedom Way is to reinforce the need for an education that's broader than just systemically what we've been taught in our school systems in the United States of America.